All right, guys. It's just a quick little reel-to-reel intro. I would like to, ideally Monday, go ahead and schedule that out along with a caption that, lets people know that, hey, our gala is still on. It's still happening. It's going to be virtual. I'm going to list all the organizations that we have donated money to in the past and that we'll continue to donate money to. There are a lot of things going into this virtually for, a variety of things, including other organizations and different elements as well. We'll go ahead and tag the organizations that we have done work with so that they'll be included and they can share and like. Guys, I would really appreciate your participation in sharing and liking the post. Commenting, whatever you feel is necessary. Just please participate. If you are on Facebook, if you're not, that's okay too. Just spread the word. Reel to Reel Rotary Gala.
Good
Happening.
work, Katie.
Oh wait, it's happening in case you missed the dates. October 5th through the 16th, online on our Facebook platform. There will be a digital fundraising link for everyone to share and post out for those 2 weeks. So thanks, guys.
So if you would, we're going to turn it over now to Merle to introduce our speaker this morning.
Morning, guys. I'm so excited this morning to be able to introduce our speaker, Gloria Scott-Richmond. If anybody has seen her direct a music group, she's total energy. You know exactly what I mean. So we're very excited to have Gloria talk to us this morning. Over 30 years ago, more than 30 years, I've been sitting on a committee at Lee called the Faculty Diversity Committee. And every year I say, we need an office. We got a growing number of international students and faculty. We need an office and we need a director. And every year, sometimes they don't pay me any heed, but sometimes they say, well, if the right person were here, we would hire them. So when my wife, Dr. Carolyn Dirksen, heard that Gloria Richmond Scott was retiring after 30 years at the Cleveland City School System as a music teacher, she immediately got in touch with Dr. Kahn and said, Dr. Kahn, we got to have Gloria. He went to the board. The board immediately said, times are tough. We're not hiring, but Gloria is just, she's a jewel. And so we got to have her. So she was the perfect person for the new office of racial and ethnic relations. Gloria grew up, she was born and raised in the UK, moved to New York, and then came to Lee as a student. In 1989, she started teaching in the Cleveland City School System as a music teacher. At Blythe Bower, she started a partnership with the Symphonic Band at Lee with a a preschool band program. And then she went on later on to develop a strings program, the only strings program that we had in the Cleveland City School System. She has directed, she's been on faculty at Lee for a number of years directing the Evangelistic Singers. It's a ministry group, and she's done a fantastic job with that. So she's been faculty. She's a great part of the community. She's well known internationally in the church. Gloria says that her mission in the new office of racial and cultural relations will be to connect with international students, with students generally, with employees, with faculty, with alumni, and adding to kind of what's always been the value of Lee, to be a community where kind of everybody is included. So I'm really excited this morning to Gloria to introduce you. A great friend, Ty's a great friend. He's a pastor. We've known this couple for many, many years. Welcome to Rotary, Gloria.
Thank you so much, Merle. Wow. At one point I thought you were talking about somebody else, but then you said my name, so I guess I'm on now. Thanks again, Merle. You and Carolyn have certainly been an inspiration for our family. We love you, we respect you, and keep on keeping up the good work of being all things to all people. We appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. And looking at our Brady Bunch Zoom screen this morning, The only thing I don't think we can do on this screen is look up and see each other or look down and see each other. So I'm grateful that we can either see beautiful faces on and handsome faces on the screen. But good morning to everyone. It is an honor and a privilege to have the opportunity to share with you. Greetings to you, President Cardin, the leadership and the members of the Bradley Sunshine Rotary Club 31896 of Cleveland, Tennessee. And once again, thank you, Merle, for the introduction. Want to say thank you, Jim, for the conversations that we've had this past week and also your one-liners. Keep up the good work. Laughter is a much needed medicine. Whether we have our masks on or off, our world certainly needs a reason to smile. I have, over the years, respectfully admired your mission and the work of Rotary International. I want to say thank you so much to everyone. There's so many faces that I see, and I'll get in trouble because I can only see one part of the gathering today on my screen. But I have a deep respect for the mission and the work of Rotary International. Thank you for truly providing service to others, promoting integrity and advancing world understanding, goodwill, and peace. And I would like to say thank you, everyone, for making a difference in Bradley County and beyond. Let me ask you a question. If you haven't already had breakfast this morning, where do you plan to have breakfast? How about lunch? Where do you plan to have dinner, all being well, this evening? Well, now, as you know, most of us are eating at home. We're on the deck sometimes, or we're ordering takeout or dining at a restaurant, venturing, some of us that are brave, venturing out for a picnic. And most of the time, we don't try to balance our food on our laps. We dine at a table. And I remember some of my fondest childhood memories were at our dining table at home in the UK. I remember the conversation, I remember the laughter, the lessons, and I do remember the cleanup process of our meals. I remember dining at school, Moreland Middle School, Jatfields Infant School, Moreland High School. I remember sitting around the table with different cultures, and I remember that because of people's religions, that some had to have a different cuisine. And I remember that sometimes mom and dad would have different people at our home, different people at our home, different cultures. I would hear my father speaking Punjabi. My great-grandfather's from Calcutta, India. And I remember some of the visitors in our homes that would be around our table. Some would have the red dot. Some of the ladies would come in saris, and so many different languages would be spoken in our home. And I remember that when the grown folk would go off into the parlor to talk, then whether we liked their children or not, we had to play with their children. And so it was good times at our table. I remember the multicultural experience of our home. I remember that even when we didn't understand some of the visitors that we would have in our home, Like, for example, I remember there was a young man, his last name was Gomez, and I don't know how you were raised, but we really didn't know people by their first name. They were either Mr. or Mrs. or brother or sister. But Brother Gomez had been charged with a murder that he did not commit. And mom and dad knew that he was innocent, and it ended up being to that time the longest murder trial in UK history, and he even made the Guinness Book of World Records. And I remember him coming into our home, and mom and dad, after he had been acquitted, letting him stay on the sleeping sofa. And I said to one of my brothers, I was like, Leo, come here. Look at who mom and dad have in our living room. We are going to be killed, and mom and dad are going to be the accessories to the fact. Of course, we didn't understand everything. At my mom and dad's 60th anniversary, I brought the Guinness Book of World Records, and I asked them, why on earth did you put our lives in jeopardy at that time? And I remember mom and dad saying that nobody would give him a chance. Everybody thought that he was still guilty, even though he had been acquitted, but we wanted to give him a chance until he could get up on his feet again. I remember meeting Americans for the first time in the person of Grant McClung and Courtney. They were on their way from Germany over to America, and they stopped at our home. Now, we had been socialized to think by society, not by my mom and dad, but we had been socialized to believe that all Americans were either very loud and wanted things their own way, and everything was always right because you were an American. I am so grateful that mom and dad had Americans in our home, because then I realized, oh, this is not, these people that are in our home don't fit that stereotypical image that we had been socialized to believe. And so I'm glad that mom and dad opened our home, and so many people came to our table. And so the life lessons that mom and dad taught us, the main one was to be better instead of bitter, and to always extend the grace card. We were taught to know the codes, especially my brothers. If they were ever stopped by police, mom and dad had given them their education in how to deal with law enforcement, and taught us as girls how to govern ourselves, how to speak well, how to be diplomatic, how to be tactful, but always to be ourselves, knowing whose we were always and who we belonged to ultimately. And I didn't realize that all these people coming into our home would be a setup for my career and my life's work. I remember watching documentaries from the British Broadcasting Corporation about the US when I was a little girl, and I had a lot of difficulty understanding the racial unrest as a child. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand the unrest that we were subject to with members of the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, coming over to the mainland and bombing different parts of the mainland because they were unhappy. They didn't want to be a part of the United Kingdom. And I did not realize that we had been holding our breath because of the terroristic violence that we grew up with. I didn't even realize it. I was such a big, that was my life. we knew how to protect ourselves, and we knew how to keep ourselves safe. But I didn't realize that that was not the way that we should live. That was my normal. But on August 14th, 1980, I went to go sit at another table, this time in New York City when we emigrated to the United States. And I did not realize that I'd been holding my breath for a lifetime until we moved to New York City. And there was nobody bombing anywhere. There was no threat. And of course, that changed in September the 11th, 2001. I remember going to school in New York City. I was a part of the CUNY system, the City University of New York. And I remember hearing the story of one of my music teachers. His name is Howard Roberts. And I remember him speaking about being the producer of Porgy and Bess. And as you recall, that Porgy and Bess was written by one of the Gershwin brothers, and it was the first all-Black opera in the United States. And of course, when the cast opened, it was not well received because it was an all-Black cast. And so I remember Professor Roberts saying that we had to go to Europe because we had spent all of this money and prepared all of this music. And we wanted to go particularly to France to see if it would be well received. And it was. And then because of the notoriety, the cast of Porgy and Bess were invited to return home to the US and be well received in the US. And so I remember listening to the stories of Lawrence Wilson, rather. He was our department chair. I remember him as a Black man saying how enjoyable Europe was for him when he would go and play the piano in the concert halls of Europe, but how it was difficult for him to find a place to have a lucrative opportunity to perform in these United States. And all the time I was thinking, wow, this is a world-class musician, and not to have the opportunity in your home base. Again, a lot of questions would go through my mind. It was an all-star faculty at the Borough of Manhattan Community College, multiracial. In fact, it made me feel at home. I remember our accompanist was Frank, and I remember the stories he would tell me as a Black accompanist, being able to play at the Apollo. And I remember he would tell me stories about Lena Horne and how with the Harlem Renaissance, it was just the mecca for Black musicians and a place to breathe for everyone. And those lessons I took to heart. I always used to love speaking with Mr. Frank and his experiences. And then I made the trip to Cleveland, Tennessee in August of 1995. It was different, but I found the good. And when I'm coming to Lee College at the time, I remember getting off the Greyhound bus in the north part of Cleveland and seeing trees. I was always raised a city child. And so to see trees in a non-park setting, that was a good thing. I was like, wow, this is good. Came to Lee, and of course, predominantly white campus, but I met good people who understood the table of brotherhood concept. Met people like Merle and Carolyn Dirksen, Dr. and Mrs. Horton, Roosevelt Miller, and I could go on and on and on, where I found people that had a different skin
Well,
color than me, but they
I'm
were
still listening.
willing to give me a
I'm gonna
chance.
go get me a piece of toast and
And then I remember seeing a choir, and they sang Black gospel music. And I remember thinking when I saw them on stage, I said, wow, they were electric. It was the evangelistic singers. Little did I know that I would have the opportunity to lead such a great group of people. And when I looked at that choir, they made me feel like I was at home, because I saw folks that looked like me. I saw folks that didn't look like me, but they were occupying the same stage. They got the concept of the table of brotherhood. And then in 1989, August 14th, 1989, I started my journey with Cleveland City Schools. And oh, wow, what a journey. In fact, I retired from the Cleveland City Schools officially May 23rd of this year. And Lee came calling, and in 1990, Lee College came calling and said, the choir that had been unaccredited before, it was now going to be accredited. They needed a teacher. So would I mind coming and working with Evangelistics? The nickname is EVS. And would you like to come and work with EVS to be the teacher, because it's about to be accredited? And I said no, because it looked like a fixer-upper to me to be a part of something that was ground level. I was like, no, thank you. And they said, well, would you please pray about that? And I was like, man, I don't want to pray, because I had already made my mind up. That was something I didn't want to do. I was fine, thank you very much. Well, I found in my life that God has a great sense of humor, and things that I don't particularly want to do, he will make a path and make it very plain that that's the path I need to go. So that's how I came in contact with evangelistic singers and leading them. And what a great ride it was. I was the director from 1990 through 1993. And then I took a break until 2010. I got the call again, and I answered yes, that I would return to Lee to teach the evangelistic singers. And then in 2020, June 11th, when I was just in the infancy of my retirement, I got another call to return to Lee, this time as the director of the Office of Racial and Ethnic Relations. Wow, so many different tables to sit at. I remember one of my favorite parts of the I Have a Dream speech is where Martin Luther King Jr. declares and says, I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream. Because I realized that at the table, at any given table, guys, we learn that we are more alike than what it appears to be on the surface. At the table, we educate one another about each other's culture. At the table, we come to a new level of understanding. And so in the new position for the new office at Lee, my aim and determination is to fulfill that mission, that goal of helping racially, ethnically, and internationally diverse students, not only students, but employees, not only employees, but alumni know that they are valued members of the Lee University community and beyond. and based on the principles that each human being is a reflection of God's image, that the kingdom of God includes and values people from diverse backgrounds, and that principles call for the just treatment of all people. What's going to be happening in my office and what is already happening is seeking to prepare students, employees, and alumni for responsible living in a complex world, while advocating for, empowering, and supporting those from diverse backgrounds. It's a tall, tall order, and it's a huge task. And yes, I do feel the weight of the responsibility, but I also feel peace in my heart that this is a table that I've been invited to sit around, and I'm calling everybody, all of God's children, to sit around that table with me. And not only stay at that table, but go out and invite others to that table of understanding, that table of brotherhood. Because guys, you know that we're in a mess. It took a while for us to get into this mess. And it's going to take a while for us to get out, but we have to start somewhere. And I suggest starting at a table of understanding, and not just mere rhetoric, but heartfelt transformation, that we will, each individual and each institution and each family, can change this nation and this world for good. And so if I can help somebody while I'm traveling this life's journey, if I can help somebody to sit at this table, then I know that ultimately my living will not be in vain. Thank you guys for the opportunity, and let's keep on sitting at this same table. God bless you, and may you have a great day.
Thank you very much, Gloria, for that. We have some time. Would anyone, Gloria, would you mind taking questions?
Not at all, Ty.
Okay. Would anybody have any questions for Gloria?
Hey, Gloria, Jeff Gregory here.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Gloria, good to see you.
So good to see you.
I didn't want to put pressure on you at the start, but the Queen is on here listening. So Lori, the Queen is.
Oh, please give, because you can give her a hug for me.
Yeah, I will. I will. But, you know, we're in very different times. What a time to start your position, you know, with such unrest in the country. But what do you feel is your biggest challenge to kind of bring people together and during, you know, such a time in turmoil throughout parts of the country, you know?
Great question, Jeff. Some days I don't know what I don't know. It has been a whirlwind. I mean, I have walked into a firestorm, but I am good to go. Like I said, I do feel the weight, but I do have peace in my heart. Jeff, we have to start where we are. And where we are is, from my standpoint, to have that chance to listen to somebody else, that education, Jeff, to say, you know what, I don't know what you're feeling right now. I don't know what you're going through right now. I don't know what it is. I don't ever have a clue about what it is to be a white man in this society, Jeff. Not only from a biological standpoint or a cultural standpoint, I just don't know what your story is. So first and foremost, what I'm trying to do is to listen, and listen with intent. I think you can learn a lot by gently entering into somebody's world through dialogue, through conversation. And then that conversation, I found, leads to action. You're very familiar with EVS and the makeup. There are now 13 different nationalities represented within that group. And so to navigate, it's like navigating the UN. But what I found as the years have gone by, Jeff, is that everybody wants to be noticed. Everybody wants to be cared for, and everybody wants to be listened to. It's extremely simple to ascribe the value and the worth to people. It's worth people are, I think, trying to come up with all these complex solutions, but to me it's as simple as that first step of listening to each other and educating one another without yelling.
Gloria,
Yes.
thank you so much. This is Philomena Davis.
Hi, Philomena.
I'm Jim Davis's wife.
Yes,
you're right. He's a funny man. He can make he can make his point across very funny way, but I cannot. I'm a very serious person. I guess that's why we are attracted to each other. Anyway, first and foremost, if as a human being, if we can think this way, what I'm going to say, it maybe understanding can begin. Okay, we are all human beings. God created us, but he created all of us different, with color, with character, whatever it is. But underneath the skin, we are all the same. Our blood is red, we have heart pumping, we have disease to share, we have happiness to share, whatever, So that's the first and foremost thing people need to understand. Underneath the skin, the skin is the only thing is different. And the second thing, that's my statement. And I'm so glad you have some Indian blood, especially from Punjabi.
Yes.
Punjabi people are the most happiest and carefree, wonderful people. They always like to dance and sing and entertain. And I would like to suggest, to educate, to bring people together. Like you started saying at the table, the best way to acclimate with each other, with food, people will come. Maybe perhaps to educate the children through the food, that maybe, you can ask questions, people can be in one room, whoever wants to come. And, nowadays you have recipes all over in YouTube and everything, and make it so people can gather together and have fun and learn about each other. So maybe there's one step. I'm just suggesting.
Oh, thank you so much, Philomena. I when the country and the world gets healthier, I do want us to get together, because that is breaking bread together. That is a universal, it's something that binds us together. We all need to eat. And so why not do it with different cultures? But I am thinking about some virtual table gatherings, of course, using Zoom as a platform, but I'm not going to wait to get us at the table, so thank you so much. You've eyeballed me, Philomena, to continue with that. There's been some great work done on the Lee University campus. The Cultural Diversity Committee that Merle and Carolyn have been a part of for years, they have been pounding this on the Lee University campus, Lee College, Lee University, since your dot. And also, one thing about the Dirksons that I really appreciate is to go out on a limb and to become the first sponsors of EVS. That took so much courage, and I know they went through a lot of heat. They don't talk about it too much, but they had to have gone through a lot of heat. It does take one courageous person to step out and say, you know what, let me be the bridge. Not only build one, but let me become one. And food is definitely a great vehicle. Thank you.
You're welcome.
De Caloris, Gloria.
De Caloris.
I've known you for so long as your musical ministry, and it has been absolutely marvelous. And it, of course, goes across generations and all diversity lines. And I hope you continue that as part of your job now. I don't know how you're going to incorporate it all, but I could see you doing it. And I can't think of a better person for this position. So congratulations and welcome on board. We love you.
Thank you. I love you
Gloria,
too.
Jimmy Dupree here.
Hi.
I had an opportunity last night to watch your video that you made for the DAL.
Oh,
Your personality is infectious. You bring such a passion and an energy to this office. I think you will be able to do great things.
thank you.
And I agree with you about both Merle and Carolyn Dirksen. They were actually got their training as the dorm supervisors in Walker Hall, trying to keep us all straight back in the day. So welcome on board full time, and we look forward to working with you. I teach in the DAL.
Awesome. Thank you. That is a part of the school that's near and dear to my heart. And making that video was such a joy. And thank you again. I appreciate the welcome.
Is there anyone else?
Yeah, just a comment. At one time, we had a member who was from India who was very interested in getting us together at the table with food. And we actually had several international dinners where each one of us club members would bring a casserole or some party food from some different nationality. We didn't necessarily have to bring something if we weren't Irish, but there was a need for some Irish food, somebody would take that. We did that for several years and it was very well received.
Excellent. Excellent.
Any other comments or questions for Gloria?
I have one last thing from us. Pete and I are the proud grandparents of some brown young men who are just fine young men. So we are part of that diverse culture. We didn't know it was going to happen, but it happened and we embrace it.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, well, for the record, my Aunt Dot has flaming red hair and freckles. She's Scottish. Who knew?
I wear a kilt, so. All right, guys. Gloria, we want to thank you so much for joining us this morning, giving us that talk. I'm going to agree with you. There is not as much listening now in our society as there should be. We got a lot of shouting. We got a lot of copying of headlines and shouting headlines at one another, but there's not a lot of listening. More listening, I think, is good. I have, over the years, I can tell you, and things I will not necessarily share because they were personal and stuff, but I have found that when you talk to people, you may hear things that'll surprise you, but you learn from it. And you gain understanding. Sometimes I didn't walk in somebody else's shoes. I haven't been where they were. Been to the places they've been. But by talking and not shouting at them, you gain an understanding of what path they have walked and why they are where they are. And I can't emphasize the importance of sometimes just listening to people. So thank you very much. I would look forward sometime to us having a conversation. Very, very much so. And so I personally greatly appreciate your talk this morning. All right, guys, anything else? Well, let's do our final duty as Rotarians. Other things we think, say, or do